Hello. Today I've decided to take the time to kind of introduce to everybody on RGP and in the pinball community my method of lowering raised inserts. I've mentioned this a couple of times on RGP. Kind of got overwhelmed, my opinion, by everybody who says take a block of wood and a hammer and beat on your playfield until the insert goes down. But I've loaned this method out to a friend to use on the funhouse with all the clock inserts. And he reported back that it worked great, much better than the hair dryer and the hammer and block of wood. So I'm going to show you now what I do to lower raised inserts. And I've done this on 3 pinball machine playfields so far, a hang glider, fire, and now a space station that I'm currently finishing on. So what I've done is I've gone to Harbor Freight, and you can get one if you have a local Harbor Freight or online, maybe some other vendors. But I've gotten what's called a deep-throated C-clamp. As you'll notice, this is not a typical C-clamp. This has the ability to reach pretty much from one side over halfway across the playfield to get to any insert you might have. And if you can't make it from one side, of course, just flip it to the other side and you can get it from there. Then I've coupled that with a couple blocks of wood. Now, I'm using the manufactured, sort of really highly compressed wood. The idea behind this is that if you just get a piece of like pine, it's going to compress quite a bit, and the energy you're putting in with the clamp is going to partly be transferred to the wood. And this also has a benefit of having a nice, it's old flat pack furniture, so it has that junky finish veneer like to it, so it's very smooth, and I don't have to worry so much about it maybe possibly marring the surface of the playfield, which is something when you whack on your playfield with a hammer and a block of wood. You take that risk that when you hit that block of wood, it's going to shift and scratch up your playfield. So why take that chance? Use this. Yes, it's going to be a bit slower, method, but I think it's more accurate and more controlled on how you're applying the force to that insert. All right, I'm going to interrupt me here for just a second because I realized after reviewing this, I forgot one important thing that I've done to the block of wood is put a little bit of an indentation in there with a Forstner bit. This prevents the clamp from shifting as it's being tightened on the block of wood. This will keep that clamp from moving around the surface if you didn't have that there. I did this with just one block of wood. I suppose you could do it the other side, but there's, at least on this clamp, there's not that much of a lip there that it would really help much. So that might be something to keep in mind if you're going to do this, is put that little indentation in there with some sort of bit or tool and everything to make sure your clamp doesn't shift around as you're tightening it. Now, one of the things that I've tested is heat or no heat. Everybody's with the other methods always heat it up with a hairdryer or a heat gun or something, then hit on it. I've tried both ways, with and without heat. Haven't really noticed a difference. Didn't really make a difference. It always lowered the insert. Now, in theory, I suppose someone could argue you could crack the insert because the glue didn't give way, the old glue didn't give way, but I figured the old glue already gave way to make it rise up. It's probably not going to hold on to it too much going back down. The thing you do have to keep in mind, and I've seen this firsthand with this space station that I'm working on, is inserts raising back up again if you do not glue them back down. I did one on here one evening, came back the next evening after work. One of the inserts had risen up just a little bit more than it had been the previous night. I wasn't sure if I was just imagining it, so I did it again, came back the next day, sure enough it had raised it back up again. So you want to keep in mind that you probably want to put some sort of glue into that insert from the bottom side to make sure that it doesn't come back up again after you've used the clamp on it. Now, some people say wood glue. I've tried wood glue and epoxy. You can't really tell the difference if one's better than the other. I haven't had the inserts come back up, so I guess, take it for what it's worth. Probably couldn't go hurt using either one. I think the epoxy has a little bit longer cure time to it, it seemed like, that I was using. It was some stuff I had laying around. But either way, this is by far a far better method to lower raised inserts. The video you're going to see in just a moment is just a quick few seconds thing of me putting blocks of wood down and clamping it down and then popping it back up again to check the condition of it. And you'll notice that I shift it because the first clamp I did on it was towards the tip of the insert, and I wanted to then make sure the back side of the insert was also lowered down, because it did have a little bit of a height to it difference between the part that I had just done. If you have larger inserts, you may even want to think about getting two of the clamps, like I did for the Fire pinball machine, which has a very large insert in the middle of the playfield. What I did is slowly you cranked both clamps down on either side of it and push that back down, so I didn't do just one side at a time and risk, you know, getting it jammed or cracked or whatever as it's trying to go down.
I need you to run a license plate for me.
Yeah, sure, but I'll help you out. You tell me what the hell it is I'm doing.
It relates to your case, that's all you need to know. TNF 0818.
Hey, you're thinking about a friend. How do I get in touch with you?
You don't. I'll find you, detective.
I'm telling you, I'll wait for you. Get in there and finish them off.
Back, low, wait up, call Papa, regroup. You want to wait around out here? Fine, I'm going in. Don't go out with a bunch of Bulgarian tweakers. We need a deal. You stay out of our territory, we stay out of theirs. Cover every exit. Don't wait us to get out. I'll go attack us first.
I need you to stay awake, Johnny. Don't want you to go in the shower.
So how'd you wind up doing whatever it is you do?
There's something else. I can't think if there's anything else.